Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are up in the vegetable garden and I am planting some fall seeds. So today we are going to be planting some carrots, some red romaine lettuce, and some just regular green romaine lettuce. So these are the typical plants that I like to plant in the fall time. Root vegetables are great to plant in the fall. Leafy vegetables, a lot of kale and cabbages, brassicas, things like broccoli and cauliflower, which we've done videos on recently, are all wonderful things to plant in the fall time because they can take the cooler temperatures. Now, you wouldn't want to plant things like tomatoes or squash or things like that right now because there's just not enough time, not enough warm days left to really grow those things. But things like lettuce and spinach and kale and all the things that I just mentioned are great for planting at this period in time in the fall. I'm actually planning on trying to grow a little further into the season than I normally do, using some hoop houses and some plastic and things like that to try to create like a greenhouse over top of my raised beds. So we will be talking about that later on as the season progresses and as we're able to get those things put together. But today I'm just going to be planting regular crops, and they should have plenty of time to get a good harvest off of them before our first frost comes. Now, if you followed my video last time about fall crops, I go into a lot more detail of how to plant fall crops and what you need to look for and your first average frost date and how to figure all that out. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, I will link that video in the comment section below. But for me, I know that I have plenty of time to grow these things yet in my season. This is the beginning of September right now. Our first average frost date here in Pennsylvania is sometime around mid-October. So we still have a couple of weeks of growing left, and it should be plenty of time to get these things up and growing. The other cool thing about these types of vegetables that I'm planting today, like root vegetables like carrots, can really keep growing throughout the cooler months. Even after you get a couple of light frosts and things like that, they actually prefer the cooler temperatures and have a sweeter flavor if you can grow them during that time. So the garden is looking a little crazy right now. She's a little wild because we have been sick and the world has been falling apart around us. I don't know if you guys ever feel that way. I'm sure you do. But things have been a little crazy lately, and so my poor garden has suffered because of it. It has weeds, it has plants that need to be pulled out and gotten rid of. But at this point in time, I really want to just get these seeds going because I need to get them in the ground before it's too late and I don't have enough time for them to grow. So I'm going to get these planted today. I am slowly getting back into the swing of things and trying to recover from illness and recover from just things that have been taking place. And I really find that coming back to the simplicity of the garden and the things that I know, like lettuce, kind of just gives me a renewed sense of strength and hope again. I heard a quote one time that I really love. It says, to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. And I 100% believe that quote because you wouldn't plant a seed today knowing that tomorrow wasn't going to be here. And so in planting seeds and planting a garden, you are just planting seeds for the future, for tomorrow's harvest and for the next day's growth and just everything that comes with a garden. And sometimes in the craziness of life, you just need to come back to the simplest things, the things that you know well, the things that maybe aren't experimental or fun to try, but just like the tried and true things that you know will grow you food, or you know will produce something for you, or you know will turn out okay in the end. And that's just kind of where I'm at. Not only am I just planting my fall lettuce and root vegetables right now, I'm returning to the simple things, to the easy things, to the things that I know, and to what I can hold on to, I guess, for the future, and know that we're going to have lettuce and carrots and stuff here in a couple of weeks. And in all the craziness of life, my garden has just been up here growing and producing food and just continuing to do what it does. And even though it's a little weedy and a little wild and could probably use some care, it just goes to show you that nature wants to grow. Plants are made to grow. That's what they do. And you can just throw some seeds in the ground and watch it take off. And sometimes that's inspiring. But anyway, that's just my little heart to heart for you all today. I hope you guys have been doing okay. I know that there's a lot of stuff happening right now with hurricanes and sickness and just all the different things. And we've had massive flooding here from the hurricanes. And again, it's a rainy day again today. And normally I would welcome the rain, but I'm like, I could use a little less rain lately. But just in the middle of everything, I hope that you guys are doing okay. And I pray for you. And I hope that you guys are out there planting seeds for tomorrow. Okay, just to give you a quick overview of where we are, we have some beds of broccoli, cabbage, peppers, and then cauliflower down there on the end. In this bed here, we have a bunch of tomatoes that have seen better days, but are still producing some tomatoes, so they're still hanging on there. I have an opening here in this bed that I might plant up today. We'll see. And then we have this bed over here, which had some yellow squash, some tomatoes, and a butternut squash plant that the squash bugs absolutely killed my butternut squash plant and all my yellow squash. I harvested all the tomatoes that were on the plants at the end there, and so now this bed is pretty much empty except for just some nasturtiums and some marigolds, and I'm going to go ahead and leave those in here and just kind of plant around them so we have a nice full bed here. So up here in this front corner is where I'm going to plant first, and I am going to be planting some carrot sweet seeds. These are the tender sweet carrots from Eden Brothers. I like to get a lot of my seeds from Eden Brothers. I will link them down below in the description if you'd like to check them out. But you can pause the video here if you want to read up more about this type of carrot. But this is what we're going to be planting today. Okay, so I have some carrot seeds in my hand here, and I'm just going to make really shallow trenches here in my bed. You don't want to plant carrot seeds too deep because they're such small seeds. They don't have very much energy to make it up through very much soil. So really you want to just very lightly bury these in the soil. So I'm just going to take a pinch of seed and I am just going to sprinkle these down the rows that I made and then gently cover that back over. And that's all there is to it. I don't really follow the spacing on the packages. The package suggests like 2 to 3 inch spacing between each seed. And you can sit here and meter out 2 to 3 inches on each seed if you would like. But with tiny seeds like this, I really, to be honest with you, just don't have the patience to sit here and go 1, 2, 3, 4. I just don't have patience for that. So I just kind of sprinkle the seed as they go. Sometimes you will get a cluster of carrots together as they start to grow. And if you would like to come in and thin it out, which means pull 1 or 2 out so that there's a little bit more space around each carrot, you can do that. Or you can just let them grow together. And if you let them grow together, sometimes you'll end up with smaller carrots, or maybe you'll end up with like weird carrots growing together. Either way, it's up to you of how you want to do it. It's not really going to hurt anything. You just may not get as big of carrots as if you properly space them out. So it's kind of up to you and how you would like to space out your carrots. Okay, so I filled over half this bed with the carrot seeds around the other plants and things that were in here. And now I'm going to plant this red romaine lettuce from Eden Brothers again in the rest of this bed. So you can see the rows that I have kind of placed out there already. I'm going to do a very similar thing, just sprinkling the seeds into the rows and then covering it over. Again, you don't want to plant these seeds very deep in the soil because these again are very tiny seeds and they don't have a ton of energy to push up through a whole bunch of soil. So you just want to very lightly cover them with some soil. Okay, so now that we've filled up that bed, we are now going to put some green romaine lettuce on this side. Here's some info on the back. These are also from Eden Brothers, and so we're just going to plant these in the rows over here. Okay, so now that I have all of these seeds planted, I'm just going to make sure that they stay nice and moist for the next week or so until I start to see some green leaves emerge through the soil and they start to put on a little bit of growth. It's really simple to plant seeds, especially things like lettuce and carrots. It's a really fun thing to do, especially with kids, because it is such a simple process. You're just putting a little trench in and sprinkling some seeds and getting all dirty, and then really in a short period of time you get to see the fruit of your labor. You get to see those whatever you planted start to sprout and start to grow. And it can be a really exciting and fun learning things for kids as well. And they really get to learn like where their food comes from. And I think that's really important. I like to do that kind of stuff with my kids. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video today. I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of the garden real quick, just so you guys can kind of see where it's at right now. This is the beginning of September, like I said earlier. So I just kind of want to give you guys an overview of what the September garden is looking like right now. I also wanted to say something on a video. I had posted something on our community channel a couple of weeks ago about potentially doing live garden tours where I just hop on live with you guys here on YouTube and we walk through the garden together, and maybe I work on some chores or whatever. But it also gives me a chance to interact with you guys and to answer questions in real time if you guys have any questions for me, for you guys just to see the garden in a live atmosphere where there's no editing or anything like that. And I think it could be kind of fun. So if you guys are interested in something like that, let me know in the comments below. I think we might try our first live on Friday. So this video is going up on Monday, so that following Friday you guys will see the live, pending on weather. I've wanted to do a live the last couple of weeks here in between being sick and the weather. It just hasn't happened yet, but I'm shooting for this Friday. I think it would be really fun to at least try. So let me give you an overview of the garden real quick right now, because we're going to do a live garden tour on Friday. I don't want to show you everything, but just to give you a quick little overview of where things are right now. Okay, so this is the bed where we just planted the carrots and the red lettuce. Here are our tomatoes and where we planted the green lettuce. There are still quite a few green tomatoes, and so I want to get as much fruit off of these as possible before I start to pull them. This is our broccoli bed that we planted a few weeks ago. Our cabbage bed. Over here are the peppers, which are doing fantastic. If you guys remember, these are the peppers that I started from seed myself, from grocery store-bought peppers that I liked, and these have been absolutely prolific and I love them so much. I've saved a whole bunch of seed already this year from them. Here are some white eggplant. Try to move that leaf. And then we have some green beans here, which I thought were a bush variety green bean, but they are really starting to trail more like a vine. But those are the green beans that we planted in a video. That was a while ago, but they're doing good. I'm just starting to pick some green beans now. And then here is the cauliflower bed. And then just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about, this is the weedy mess. So the weeds and the vines are starting to come into the garden. And with all the flooding and stuff, all the mulch is messed up and there's like dirt washed in. I have a bunch of weeds coming in here around my grapes, which I'm not super happy about. Some weeds in the walkway. So yeah, just things like that. In all honesty, it really shouldn't take me that long to take care of these weeds and to get the garden back into a good shape again. But just with the flooding and things like that, I wanted to kind of show you where we were at, because the garden does not always look picture perfect and beautiful up here. And I want to be real with you guys and kind of like show you that the garden is not always perfect. I have tons of weeds trying to come in the back fence here, and I'm not really sure how to handle them, to be honest with you. The bank that is behind here is quite steep and not really something that I can get behind there and pull weeds really easily. I don't really like the idea of spraying anything, especially because I have vines growing on the trellis. So to spray the vine, I could potentially be spraying my grapes. And so I have a little bit of a conundrum here of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to control the weeds right behind my garden. If you guys have any awesome ideas, I would love the help. But for now, it's basically just trying to manage, trying to pull what I can out and what I can reach. And yeah, so just an honest look at the garden and the little bit of a mess that it's starting to become with just mud and weeds. But it is what it is. I like things to remain tidy and like really nice and pretty, because for me, this is a space where I like to get away. And yes, there's a lot of work in gardening, but I also don't like the garden to become so overwhelming that I don't want to be here. Like, my house is full of laundry and dishes and things like that. I don't want to come to my garden where I also have hours worth of weeding and cleanup and things to do. And even though that might be sometimes what needs to happen, I really like to stay on top of things to keep things really nice and tidy, so that it doesn't become overwhelming. So that is the state of the garden right now. I'm going to work on getting it cleaned up, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one.